Well, Joan, who are we?
Quilters HQ, Windmill Sewing Center, and Sewing Machines Express. The websites are quiltershq.com, windmillsewingcenter.com, and qhp2.com. We do this every Tuesday from 6 to 7 Central, and this week we are doing block 7 of the Stitch Pink Sew-Along.
Hey, Peggy.
So some useful tools for you for today's block. We are doing the Dresden block, and this is on the website, available to download now. And so no special instructions there. This is Creative Grid's Dresden ruler. I have this one at home. I actually brought mine in so that I could cut these out, but I did forget the circle. But it turns out our glasses are the same size. So I'm going to show you an easy way to do a finished edge on a circle. And I think you'll like it. I do a lot of things this way. It's super, super easy. The other handy tool, which I'm going to be using, is the Quilter Select glue stick. And it does come with a refill. Has this bright yellow glue. You do want to keep these closed because it does dry out quickly if you don't, so always keep your lid on it. These are $10.99. Comment Make It Mine, Quilter's glue stick. And these work really well. Okay, so let's start. I've got all of my pieces cut out. Be sure and read through all of your instructions. You need 5 petals of the light pink, 5 petals of the red, and then you need 10 petals of the blossom pink. And I am using, I'm not going to pull it all the way out, but I am using tonight, I'm using Aerofill color 2530. And if you want this color, comment Make It Mine, and we'll do the same thing, 15% off in addition to our color of the month. This is a one night only. In addition to our color of the month, we can do this one 15% off and 20% off if you're in the club. And it is color number 2530. And if we run out, we have another order going like tomorrow. So be sure and just comment Make It Mine, because we're doing applique tonight as well.
You want to go ahead and give the color of the month now before we start the block? And
color of the month is Twilight. And it is color number 6733. And it's this beautiful pale lavender. Reminds me of the night sky for what it looks like tonight. I did starch my block. So you have a big, if you have the kit, you have a big square in there. I did starch this one pretty stiff. I didn't really want to put I mean, you can see how well it's standing up. I didn't want to put a stabilizer on it while I'm doing my applique. So you can either use a stabilizer or just really, really starch it and make it stiff so that it doesn't, crumple up on you when you're doing the applique. I have sorted through all of these and made sure that all of my pieces were right side up. And I'm just counting them real quick. So if you've never made a Dresden, this is an easy Dresden with these points on them. And so what you're going to do is you're going to sew right sides together. You're going to fold this right sides together. I'm going to do one and then show it to you.
Robert, how much was the ruler again?
the ruler was $34.99, and there's 15% off tonight.
Yep.
So we have 2 of those and some on order.
Yep. I have 2 in stock now, and it makes it so much easier to cut these out. So if you have your template,
Hey Judy, welcome to the show.
it is the same size. Here you can kind of see. This is a 4.5 inch Dresden, or 4 1/4, not 4.5. 4.5. And so this is so much easier to cut them out than trying to use paper. And Dresdens are just fun in general.
Yeah, who likes doing Dresdens? It looks like quite a few people have already commented on that, but
I do.
I think it's an interesting question. And let's see, we had another question. Is that white fabric?
For the
Yeah,
background?
oh, the white fabric is a grunge. Sorry, thank you.
So in the kit, we're using white Paintbrush Studios to keep the cost down. The pattern does call for grunge. So I've stitched this. Can you come in closer?
Yep.
Right sides together. So you can see there's my pretty side and there's my
Hey, Melissa, welcome
inside.
to the show.
You're going to trim
Hey, Stephanie.
just a little bit, maybe a 1/16 of an inch away from that seam. Just notch off that corner, just like that. And then I like to go through and open that seam up and just use my thumb to press it.
Hey, Cindy.
And then we're going to turn it and use our multi-function finger presser tool. And just like that. So when you're folding them in half to do your seam, one of the things that I like to do is crease it a little bit. So you might be able to see it better with the red. So I don't know if you can see, there's a crease right here. Okay, right there. And so it's too faint to see it on this one, but it is there. And so you're going to line up this seam with that crease that you put in. And then I'm just going to do a little press right there to flatten that out. And that's how you make those petals. This is a great way because you have this finished edge. So I'm going to go through and piece all of these really quick. I am sewing open sides to closed sides. And remember, pretty side towards the inside when you're doing this one.
Hey, Teresa, welcome to the show. We got quite a few Dresden likers.
I like Dresdens. I think they're great.
That's some advanced sentence structure there.
Mine?
No, mine. Likers. I don't know where that came from.
Well, there's a Dresden hanging up in the classroom too. And
Yeah,
I did
true.
use, I mean, it would be good to take them in there and show it to them. Because I did use this ruler, and it shows you how big of a Dresden you can make with just this ruler. Because it's a pretty big block. Or you can just come by the shop.
The lights are on.
It's a great scrap buster quilt too, so if you have just little pieces of jelly rolls that are left over, this is a great use for them because it doesn't really matter. You're always sewing on the bias on these, so it doesn't really matter where your straight grain is.
Hey, Beth, how are you tonight?
Starch is your friend when you're doing Dresdens,
Hey, Miranda, how are you tonight?
and glue is your friend when you're doing Dresdens. And these little ones are fun because they...
So we can take them over and show them the Dresden in the classroom real quick.
Okay.
The event center.
Do you want me to go with you, or I can finish these?
It's up to you.
I'll finish these while you guys look at pretty quilts.
These are the quilts that we showed tonight if you just got on, and so a couple of those finished up. So we'll just do a walkthrough for everybody that was already or not been on. This one, it's just a recap of what we looked at earlier. People that just got on. We're going to take a little tour and try not to make anyone too motion sick or anything like that. So take a little tour of the classroom or the event center here. And this is the Dresden that she was talking about. So. Yeah, that one she really likes. So there you have it. We'll show and tell while as I'm walking backwards, trying, Molly's not going to let me trip over anything, or she might have me trip over something and get a good laugh. And I'm okay with that. I'm a good sport.
Perfect. Last one.
So we'll read your comments here because we can't see comments while we're show and telling.
So that quilt that's hanging in the event center room is a good example. I did
Hey Patsy, how are you tonight?
all of the blades, the fan blades on that were scraps that I had. And so you can make the background fabric, of course I had to have that, and the border fabric I had to have. But you can see, you can make a really cool quilt with just scraps. And this pattern works with like scrappy fabrics too. So you don't have to have, this is a very organized Dresden, and the one in the event center is also. But your fabrics don't have to match. They can be all kinds of fabrics. It will work best if you put a light and a dark together. But you could do purples and blues and greens and all kinds. And it would be really pretty. So somebody out there needs to make one and then send it in. And again, I'm just trimming off the corner. I am not trimming all the way to my petal where it's turned. I'm just trimming a little bit off. Ooh, I did a really bad job sewing that one. And they're going to be weird if I don't fix it.
Oh, thank you, Beth. Admiring our event center there.
Yeah, we got some stuff coming up in there.
A lot. Hard to keep up.
And if you don't get these seams on the top perfect, it doesn't really matter. And when we start piecing these, Robert, I'm going to have you come closer because there's something I want to show.
Okay.
When
on the back or the front? Or?
On the front side of it.
Okay.
It is cool how the Dresden comes together and makes just a really big block. So this little 4 1/4 inch piece of fabric is going to make a 12 1/2 inch, 12 inch finished block. This is the hardest part, is getting that seam open. To use your turning tool. And I didn't talk about these, but this is the multifunction finger presser tool, also known as the doohickey. And these I think are $7.99. Let's start building our block.
Well, in Mississippi, they're enjoying some blue sky and birds shining just like summer.
Oh, nice. It's kind of a little bit colder today. Not bad though.
Yeah.
It was still nicer. I mean, we still have not got our winter weather for the year. We got a little bit, but nothing like what we normally get.
Okay, so Karen had a question. Did you starch your fabric first?
Yes. Since we are sewing on the bias, I do recommend that you starch these fabrics. It will make a difference. Makes it easier to use this little tool as well to keep those seams flat. The white background, I actually starched twice
Okay.
because I wanted it to be really stiff. You could use a stabilizer too, and that would stabilize your block. I'm lazy. I don't want to go back and pick it out later. So I find that this works well for me, but that being said, I have practice doing it too. So if stabilizer works best for you, by all means, go ahead and use that stabilizer. I don't have any.
Peggy had a question. Could you use light interfacing on the white?
Light interfacing. You could. So I don't want to see you get into trouble when you get quilting, so make sure that it is a very light one. But I'm only doing a blanket stitch. You can use just a straight stitch too and be fine. So it's all when you're tacking these down to the fabric, so it just depends on what your preference is. So they say use a decorative stitch, and I'm using a blanket stitch for the applique.
Hey, Lorianne, how are you tonight? Welcome to the show. So you could experiment a little bit with your decorative stitch and kind of see what that looks like and what you like.
Yep. And this trick that I'm going to show you for the center, for those of you that do laundry and use the dryer sheets, you could save one of those and do the same thing with what I'm going to show you here too. It's a pretty good trick, and it works for all kinds of applique. And I've done quite a few things with it using this method because I don't really care much for doing needle turn applique, and I really like the finished edge that you get from this method, but I don't want to put the effort in. So if I can figure out a way to make it easier, then I will obviously share that with you.
Is that better, Susan? Hey, Ginger, how are you? Welcome to the show.
I need a white one in between there.
I think it's always a good day for a walk unless you're in the Siberian Express.
Yeah. So opening up these seams is always the hardest part for me. And then I just scrape my thumbnail along them, and that keeps that seam open. And then I'm aligning. You can't really see it really well, but that crease that I put in is what I'm using to align the block. You can kind of see it here pretty good on this one. So you can see that there's a crease right there. So when I open this up and turn it, I'm actually lining up this seam with that crease, because I made that crease when I was folding it in half to sew it, and that keeps your petals all pointing in the right direction.
Hey, Debbie, how are you? Welcome to the show.
It is a good idea to lay these out so that you can make sure that you're sewing the right pieces together. You have more of this blossom pink petals than the other colors, and this blossom pink kind of frames this red.
Looks good.
Yeah, it's a pretty, I love Dresdens. They're really pretty. And they look old-fashioned, but you could make them modern with some Tula Pink fabrics or some K-Facet fabrics. Somebody will have to remind me. I don't know if he has done a Dresden or not. It seems up his alley. Almost there. Nope, I've got a mistake somewhere. There it is.
Oh, I didn't find that. I don't know if that was even done one. Ruth said she used batik, so yeah.
Goes here. And then last one for our layout. And I am using my foot that has a 1/4-inch guide on it. Kind of makes me a better sewer. It won't poke out very well.
Use all the tools you can to make yourself a better sewer.
That's it. Okay.
Hey, Patty, how are you tonight? Welcome to
So
the show.
these red ones are framed by pink ones. So I'm going to start with the red ones. And you want to come around here because I want to really show this. How I'm doing it. So when I'm sewing these together, I am not going to stitch right on the edge of this because I don't want these stitches to show. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to line it up, and it's kind of hard to see in here, but tell me when you can see really well. So I don't know if you, where's my, there it is. So if you can see right there is the edge of the fabric. I'm actually going to bring it up to where my needle is starting right here, not at the edge of the fabric. So I want my needle to start inside because I don't want these stitches to show, and it's going to get tacked down anyway. So put it under, kind of gauge where it is, move it up, make sure my edges are lined up. And then, so if you can see, there's a little bit of a gap there, right there, where it's not completely stitched to the edge. And so that's going to keep all of these stitches from showing later. And again, you're going to press these seams open. Just like that. And then the same thing with the next piece. And so when you make these, you're going to make half of it and then sew it together instead of, let's get these lined up. And again, I'm not starting right at the very edge of my stitches. I'm starting a little bit in from the edge of the Dresden. And that one didn't sew perfect, but it doesn't really matter because this is going to finish out anyway. And you can see it starting to come together.
Is there any way to chain piece?
You could. I would recommend being kind of careful with chain piecing because this is pretty easy to get your pieces out of order. And you don't really want to do that. Hard part there. That one got tucked under just a little bit. I might take that out.
That one stitch.
Yeah, see it kind of turned under.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I can just take that stitch out. There it is. Yeah. To just pull it out, and I'm just going to pull it backwards, and I'm not even going to restitch it. Yeah, I might restitch that one because it's a little bit too off.
You want it to be able to hold, right?
Yep.
So Teresa was asking, she had to step away. You want just a little space at the top then, so you're just coming up just a little bit.
Maybe a 1/16 of an inch.
Okay. You could use the acorn glue too, right?
You could, if you wanted to glue these, you could absolutely do that. Okay, let's try
Gary
this.
said they look like turkey feathers.
I have seen Dresden turkeys. They're cute.
That's a perfect way, right?
Yeah.
You can almost do Molly's party banners there that she likes.
Yeah.
Sort of with a different flavor there.
But the question was asked, could you chain stitch these? Yes, you could. I'm not going to because I make mistakes. And so that's why I lay these out and I'm picking up the next one because I don't want to have to, I don't mind taking it out for sewing mistakes, but it pains me when I'm like, oh my gosh, I just sewed that on upside down. You've seen me do it. And it's like, not enough to make me want to quit sewing though, but just, you know.
Peggy was saying it'd be a cute pattern on the side of a tote
Yeah,
bag.
absolutely. And if there are any little issues, I can fix it immediately, which I got another one, but I'm just going to clip that thread because this can just fold up.
And a lot of that gets hidden, right,
With the blanket stitch, yep. So don't worry too much about this top edge because you're going to stitch it down. You can use a blanket stitch. You can use all kinds of decorative stitches, whatever makes you happy. or whichever stitch you feel most confident using. Will you turn the iron on?
Iron is powering up.
Iron is powering up. So press this open. Because we are going to iron this really flat before we start applying it to our block.
Peggy asked, there is not a raw edge, right?
There is not a raw edge on this. All the raw edges will be hidden.
He was asking, there's not a raw edge, right?
Nope.
Essentially, yeah. They'll all be covered up.
And I did the same thing right there. I keep folding down my edge here when I stitch, but it should be fine. If I had pressed these with the iron before I started sewing them, I probably wouldn't be having this issue. But we're pressed for time. See what I did there? We're pressed for time. So
There's only so much time.
There's only so much time, so we're just going with it. Maybe I can set that a little bit further back and keep it from rolling. But it is a super cute block. So the pattern calls for a white center, and if you have the kits, you have the fabric to make a pink center. We took a survey and we think the pink looks a little better. Our sample quilt has a pink center in it. I thought the white would just kind of look like it had a hole in the middle of the Dresden instead of being finished. So this is a better method, I think, and it's our pattern and we can do whatever we want with it. Trying to roll that one again. And just give it a little extra press.
What's the total number of blades in that one? 20?
It's 4 colors, no, it's 3 colors, it's 20 blades.
After counting all the turkey feathers, I come up with 20 as well.
Yep.
Gobble, gobble, gobble.
No, we're not doing turkey again. Kind of turkeyed out for a little bit. It might be another year before we do turkey again.
Oh, come on.
We could do turkey drummies.
That sounds good.
Not
They
quite
agree.
that
They
yet.
think the pink will look better in the center.
So if you got a kit, then you have a pink square and a white square. Okay. Should I be brave and chain piece because we're running low on time? I'm going to do it. Okay, so there's half of my block. I'm going to piece pink to light pink. I was in California one time crossing the street, and so that's what I'm doing now. And if you've been to California, you know you don't cross against the light because they'll run you over.
Potentially, right?
They don't want you messing up, and I was going to chain piece, but then I decided that I guess I'm not. Lucky there. So I'm standing at the crosswalk, the light's green. The guy making the left turn was yelling out his window, "Come on, take your chances." And I'm like, "No thanks, mister." But not feeling that today. But we're taking our chances here. We're going to chain piece it and see how it works out.
Do you have the new AccuQuilt club pattern yet?
Next month, good question. I would say no. You cannot chain piece this, not with this machine anyway, because the needle stays down. Next month, we are doing a demo lecture on converting your magazine patterns to AccuQuilt patterns, not club patterns, cube patterns. And so it is a demo lecture. You do need to sign up for that one, and I wouldn't wait. Sign up now because it's going to fill up. And then so the month after, we are doing, so starting in March, we are doing what? You have to share.
Somebody said, wonder how many notches he had on his car from the previous victims in the crosswalk.
Good point. I was not going to be one.
Definitely not.
No, I'm not going to take my chances, mister. So March, so last month, our last AccuQuilt Go project, we did a quilt that combined using the 8-inch cube and the 4-inch cube. So when we do our clubs, I do try to teach new skills, so things that you haven't done before, and maybe we're afraid to try, but we're going to do it, and we're all going to do it together, and if it turns out great, then that's a bonus. But I do have a pattern, and it is cute, and so right now I'm working on a layout. We were talking about doing a table runner, but I did come up with this really cute layout. So we'll see what the club wants to do, because it's not just my club, it's your club too. So we're going to vote. I wish we lived in a world where everybody just did what I wanted to, but we don't. So, and I'm okay with that. Trying new things is always fun. And who knows what kind of inspiration we'll come up with after that one.
So we do have a giveaway tonight.
Oh, it's a cool giveaway too.
So how you enter the giveaway is you need to comment. That's the only thing. and we'll find a winner.
Well, tonight's giveaway is compliments of Riley Blake, if that gives you any motivation to say, pick me, pick me, pick me, or ask a question about the project that we're working on, or send us a photo of a Dresden that you've done. Dresdens are one of those. Sorry,
Thanks for sending in all the pictures of your blocks and stuff.
Dresdens are one of those blocks that you could cut it out and sew it together in an evening. So you could literally make one block an evening, or as a former staff member, Libby, used to sew before she went to work in the mornings. I'm still asleep when she's getting up, but I don't know. Might get up so.
Well, they're all weighing in.
So it's a pretty easy block to put together. You can do one in an evening.
Kathy loves Dresdens. So,
I don't know anybody that doesn't. They go together so nicely. They look like they took all of this effort, and I like this Dresden, so when I make a Dresden, it's always going to be this pointy edge pattern. I don't like doing the needle turn. So the rounded ones are fun, but
several people said they've done, Dresdens in yellow and then did a brown for the centering for a sunflower type quilt.
We made a Dresden with the Acu quilt. I can't think of the name of the die. It's the kind of looks like a wedge, but we did a really big Dresden with it, and it was cute. But Acu quilt needs to make a Dresden die. They do make one, but I guess they have both on it, huh?
Yeah, I think so.
I need to make a little one. Or put it in the cube. That would be awesome. An applique quilt, cube. So you have a little...
Hey, Carol, how are you? Welcome to the show.
The last one.
Last one. I'm yapping instead of paying attention.
Do we have a photo gallery on the Quilters HQ website?
We do not. Not on the website.
I think most of it's over on Facebook or...
Facebook.
Yeah. There will be some into the Pinterest. We'll do some stuff on Pinterest. Kathy said, would I just make it shorter? Might have missed the question. That's a question, but I mean, what was that relating to?
So, with the Dresden, you're always going to work from this end, and however big your block is however much you cut up here. So, this is, well, it says right on it, 9 inches to the top, and so you can do like a 20-inch block with that. And I think that's what that one that's hanging in the classroom is like almost a 20.
Oh, okay. So Kathy was asking, am I able to use my AccuQuilt 8-inch wedge die?
No.
And just make it shorter, is what I think is what the full question was.
Nope, won't work. Okay. Final check before we sew these together. Red, pink, red, pink, red, pink.
And Everybody
My
get a bird's
pink.
eye view.
I think we're good.
Looks good, everybody. We're on the countdown.
We're on the countdown.
We try to be cognizant of your time, but sometimes we go over a little bit, so.
Yeah. Well, this one with all these little wedges does take a second to sew.
We will get to the giveaway right after this. Make sure you got your comments in. I think you're going to press this right on the iron.
Yep, I am going to put a good press on this because we want it to lay flat when we're doing our applique. And I'm only going to applique the center down. And I'm going to show you how to make this center super, super easy. And then later I will go through and applique all the petals down. But we are going to glue the whole thing in place, and then I am going to use my iron and I'm going to hot set it really quick.
Hot set.
Hot set. You know, we used to do that in our hair. Hot set. I'm not the only one.
Yeah, I just do sound effects over here. That's what I do.
Sometimes he does them when he's driving too. Okay, so here's our circle. I'm going to take it over the iron.
And we're walking. We're walking.
I'm trying to just make sure these seams, I'm just giving a quick press from the just a quick press to make sure those seams are pressed open really nice. And then we're going to flip it over and iron it and use steam and make it lay flat. There's a little bit sticking up right there. Will you hand me that wool mat? So my blades are kind of curling up a little bit. This is my sewing, not your pattern. And this is where steam is your friend. So you can make a block lay flat.
Sit.
What was it? Sit, ubu, sit?
Something like that. Hello, Libby. How are you tonight? Joan was just saying how you like to sew in the morning before you go to work.
Hot, hot, hot. I don't know what do you think. Looks like, yeah, pretty much. And so we're pretty good here. I'm just stretching it out a little bit. That is hot right there. And we're pretty good. So on my white, I've drawn the circle, and so I'm going to put these together where I can see the circle, and then I'm going to just center up. This is right sides together, and so we're just going to sew around this circle, and I'm just kind of centering it up where my seams aren't that real too small.
It's a sewing circle.
You can do this.
Everybody gather around.
And I am going to lighten up my presser foot pressure, so it makes it a little bit easier for me to turn as I'm doing this. So see how smoothly that I'm able to just turn this. It's because I've got my presser foot pressure like really, really light. And I'm just sewing along that circle. And I have the presser foot pressure almost down to nothing. I think it is, and I'm going to overlap a little bit and then cut. Yeah, I have my presser foot pressure down to 1.6, where normally it's at 3.6. We're going to trim. And again, this is right side together. And if you have pinking shears, use those, because I have to go back through and kind of put some notches in it, make it turn a little easier. And I'm clipping, all right, almost up to the stitch line. Not clipping into the stitches, but just right up to it.
Carrie, do we have a winner on the Churn Dash giveaway?
Okay. So then you're going to pull these apart, separate your fabrics. There we go. And make sure they're pulled apart.
Looks like a hacky sack.
It does, doesn't it? Got to be in an age group to remember what those are.
Oh.
And then you're going to cut a hole and make a Pac-Man, since we're doing generational.
Oh, okay.
And then we're going to turn it inside out. Now, if you have dryer sheets, if you use dryer sheets, these work great. And so we're just going to press this out. Going to put my doohickey in here.
Congrats to Karen Wallace.
Karen Wallace,
Karen,
congratulations. If you have not shopped with us before or new, please go to quiltershq.com, register for JoanSews, and we will get this to you. Or if you're local, come pick it up tomorrow. And so there is our turned applique, and I'm going to take this and put it on the iron really, really quick and press this. And I'm using this circle motion here. I have a little bit of white, so I'm going to flip it over and just kind of push it in. It's right there. Just, it does get hot.
Where does the dryer sheet go when you use it?
So you would replace the white fabric here that I just used with a dryer sheet. And so that'll keep it really soft, but this method works too. And so we need to mark our block.
Yeah, Carlos, she was saying pinking shears would do that. Or, yeah, pinking shears would work just fine on those.
Yep, pinking shears, if you have them, use them. Mine are at home. So take your fabric square. I'm going to trim this after I get my block finished. And so I just put a big old X in the middle, and I'm just going to kind of line this up a little bit. And then my glue stick, so I'm going to put some in the middle so that it sticks to the block. Even though this is neon yellow, it does, it's sticky stuff.
You guys always come up with great stuff. Patsy was saying that she used a coaster pattern for the centers of her sunflower, and so she was able to do it on the embroidery machine.
Yep. If you have an embroidery machine, you can absolutely do it on there.
Always something to...
And so I'm going to switch my stitch to, oh, I like that one too. But I'm going to do, ooh, I like that one. Let's try.
Have you ever done that on your machine? You're just looking at it. It's like, oh, I like that stitch. Oh, I like that one.
Well, I'm looking at all these stitches and I'm like, these are really cool.
Pick me, pick me.
And I'm still on the practical stitches. Let me jump over here to the applique stitch. And so I want a pretty heavy, I want to show off the stitches. So I'm going to make them 2.8 millimeters and maybe 2.8 for my zigzag. And again, since I'm sewing in a circle, I am going to loosen up my presser foot pressure quite a bit. And I'm going to hang on to that top thread. Put my foot down. And I'm turning as I'm going. But again, the secret to doing these circles is lighten your presser foot pressure. A lot of machines are going to have a dial back here, one up here, might be on the side. And it'll say, you know, usually 1 through 4 if you have a mechanical machine. And I like this buttonhole stitch when I use this method because, like, so right here I have a little bit of the white showing, and I don't really want it to show on my block, so this method actually hides my method for turning. So comment and let me know if you like this method for doing your applique pieces, or at least for the centers of a Dresden, because it's super easy. I've seen people do the buttons, the round buttons where you, I think they're called buttons, as the center of a Dresden as well, and those are fun, and it will add a little bit of dimension to your project.
And we get that color thread that was a special tonight.
Special tonight only.
I might post that color again. And
okay.
It was 15% off that color, right?
Yep.
So we had a lot of people jump on afterwards. So
I'll go over the tools that we used again, and I'm done.
Make sure that we let everyone know what those discounts were.
The thread that I'm using tonight is Aerofill color number 2530. I think it matches really well to our project. Perfect for applique, and sometimes you want the applique stitches to show. On this one, I want the block to be the focal point, so I'm using a matching thread. And so comment Make It Mine 2530. 15% off for the show, 20% off if you're in the club. The Quilter Select glue stick is $10.99. It's past 7 o'clock and I've lost my tongue. My ability to speak. Quilter Select glue stick. That is kind of hard. Quilter Select glue stick. Comment Make It Mine. They are $10.99. And then we did 15% off of the Dresden ruler. Comment Make It Mine. Dresden ruler. They're normally $34.99, so less 15% off. If we run out, we have an order going in tomorrow for these. So that is us for tonight, and I'll show you the finished block next week, because all I got to do is just zigzag around this, and we will be done with it. Trim it with my 12.5-inch ruler, and one block closer to being finished.
As always.
Check your thread path. We had a customer came in yesterday. Was it yesterday? No. Today's Tuesday. Yeah, it was yesterday. She came in and she brought her project, and I'm like, yep, your machine's not threaded right.
Yeah, gotta double check it.
And so she went home, and then she came back, and she's like, that was it.
Change the needle.
Change the needle and oil your hook.
Yep, those will solve most of your day-to-day problems.
Most of your problems, yep.
And then that doesn't work, take your machine to the spa.
To the spa.